Hello, I hope you're having a great 2023 to start off with. This is my first video where I'm using my real voice, and I just thought of doing that because the robot voice I was using was actually mispronouncing a lot of words in my videos, and in order to make the quality of these videos better, I am deciding to use my real voice. And yes, if you have any feedback for me, please feel free to leave that down in the comment section below. I am more than happy to accommodate that, and I will surely bring it in on my next video. Thank you and enjoy. To start off, we will first discuss the most basic principle of any chess opening, which is controlling more squares in the center and on your opponent's side of the board. If you're controlling more squares on the chessboard in the opening itself, the advantage of doing so will be evident till the end game. For instance, if I was playing with the white pieces, I would want to control the fifth rank on the board because that is more inclined towards my opponent's side. And if I was playing with the black pieces, for the same reason, I would want to control the fourth rank so that I can gain more space in the game. Now, the most crucial squares you want to control are the four ones in the center, which are two white ones diagonal to each other and two black ones diagonal to each other. To be specific, it's e4, e5, d5, and d4. And you will often see most professional players trying to bring out their pawns, knights, and bishops to first attack these four squares and make sure they have a strong hold of these four squares. For example, the most common first move you see is e4. This move not only uh, solidifies a little bit of control on d5, but it also makes sure that white has a piece on e4. And the most common response to this move is e5. This is done to make sure that black also is gaining equal space in the center of the board by attacking d4 and gaining a positional advantage by playing pawn e5. Next, there are many variations, many games, some of them being the Italian game, which is knight to f3, knight to c6 by black, and white playing bishop to c4. Coming back to what we were actually discussing, gaining control of these four squares is crucial because after you do that, you will be able to bring your pieces out with tempo. When I say that, I mean that your pieces will be organized in a critical manner, which will allow them to develop and attack your pieces at the same time. So you can also castle early. For example, we have e4, e5, knight f3. Now, what this move does is develops a piece, brings your knight into the game, and attacks this piece as well. And what does black do? Defends the piece, attacks another square, and brings his own knight into the game. Similarly, what does the bishop on b5 do? It attacks the knight, because if the knight moves, white can capture this pawn. And white has also brought in another piece to the game. This means white and black are both developing with tempo. And this variation is called the Portuguese opening, which we will be discussing in another video. For the second principle I will be discussing in this video, I will tell you about not bringing out the queen too early in a game of chess, especially in the opening. I mean, that's what you must be wondering, right? I've talked about knights, bishops, and pawns, but why not bring the queen out? The queen is the most powerful piece. And it's not just me. I think many people in the chess world would tell you to save the queen for at least the middle game, and I'll show you why. I will give you a very simple example, and this also comes from a line from the Scandinavian defense. We have e4, d5, and white this time accepts the capture of the d5 pawn, and black can easily capture. And you might be wondering it's a good move because black has developed with tempo, the queen is out. But what players don't realize at a beginner level is that this queen can be easily attacked with moves like knight c3, and when the queen retreats back, white can actually develop more pieces like another knight, and even if black develops, white will have two pieces already developed and black one. This means white would have gained a faster tempo. Even if the queen doesn't go back and let's say it moves to a square like this, there are many traps which can arise. I mean, black can capture this pawn, but a lot of variations can be brought up. For example, white can then deliver this check, and when black blocks the check, white can bring the bishop back, and again, white has two pieces. Now, what if I tell you there is a very easy way to gain more space on your opponent's side of the board, to gain tempo faster than your opponent, and limit the movement of your opponent's pieces? Yes, there is a way. And this concept is called pinning the king. I'll tell you how it works, and I'll tell you how you can even pin the queen on your opponent's side of the board. Firstly, there are two types of pins in chess, an absolute pin and a relative pin. First, we will be talking about relative pins. So, this is a game we have on the board per se: e4, e5, knight f3, knight f6, pawn to d3, and a bishop on c5. Now, what can white do here to gain an advantage over his opponent? That's right, a relative pin on this knight by playing bishop to g5. This is a relative pin because now this knight stands in the same diagonal as this bishop, and now it cannot move. Why can't it move? Because it's pinned to the queen, which is of way greater value. If the knight tries to move, for example, if it goes back, the queen will be gone. Now, for example, we have another variation where black doesn't move this knight and plays his pawn to d5 in order to put pressure on this pawn again. Now, let's say white plays the move d4 and black plays knight to c6. Can you notice another pin over here? Yes, you guessed it right. It's bishop to b5, and this is an absolute pin. An absolute pin is when a piece is pinned to the king itself. So it has absolutely zero way of moving, and it can only be blocked by another piece. See? And this is also beneficial because now this pin can't be blocked by this knight, and this one is an absolute pin because this bishop is pinning the knight to the black king. Now, I'll tell you a simple yet very effective way to block a pin and have a better position for your king to be. And Make sure you're steamrolling the opponent's king with these two rooks that will now come in action. Okay, so this is the given position, and as you are already aware, this knight is under an absolute pin because of this bishop right here on b5. Now, since these three squares between the king and the rook are empty, according to the legal laws of chess, the king can move two steps here on c8, and that will prompt the rook to come here on d8, with this being called castling and bringing your king in a safe position. And the king can always run away to these three squares if there's a check. And more importantly, now it's not pinned by this bishop. Now the knight can actually move freely, or the bishop can capture it, of course. And yeah, this is castling. And the other rook can also castle with the king by moving two steps, and the rook coming on f1 over here. As you can see, this is called short castling, and that is called long castling, where the rook is going three steps. And in short castling, it's steps, and the rook and the king will be side to side. And per se, there is a check that comes in. The king can move away easily, and it's a great tactic to use. You should be doing this early in the game because it can be difficult to do so late in the game. Because if your king has already moved, then your king cannot castle. And if the particular rook has moved, then again the king cannot castle with that rook. So before your opponent gets the chance to prevent your king from castling, do it early on, and you can come up with your own pins. For example, after you castle, and let's say black tries to put pressure in the center by playing this pawn, you can bring up your own rook, and when black takes and you take back, this rook has got an open file to work with. Well, that concludes it for this video. I once again thank you for watching it and hope you learned a little, if not a lot. That would also make me happy. And in the next video, we will be looking at the quickest ways to checkmate your opponent. And yeah, if your opponent is a complete beginner and you want to finish the game off early, we'll be going through that. We'll be looking into the two move checkmate, the scholar's mate, and a few more. So do watch that one as well. Again, don't forget to like the video, it will give me a lot of confidence to move on with the channel. And thank you. Bye. Have a great day.